Now, finally, we're very privileged to have with us Professor Yanghee Lee. She's visiting Thailand this week, and she is a founding member of the Special Advisory Committee for Myanmar, SAC-M, and also is the former UN Special Rapporteur on the situation of human rights in Myanmar. And I had an opportunity to work with her quite a bit at that time when I was working with Human Rights Watch. Prior to becoming the Special Rapporteur at that time, she had served on the UN Committee for the Convention of the Rights of the Child for 10 years, including 2 years as chair and 2 years as the chairperson of the chairpersons of treaty bodies, which is a thankless but very important internal coordinating task at the special procedures for the UN Human Rights Council. She's also was the chairperson of the coordinating committee for special procedures. She is internationally recognized for her human rights expertise, and she's a professor emeritus at Sun Kyung Kwan University Department of Child Psychology and Education. Great to have you here. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. It's really an honor to be here and to see many of you, some to reconnect and some to connect. And I'm really happy to see a lot of the young generation who are so much more sophisticated than we ever was. And you know, I don't know what to say after these brilliant presentations by Pai and by Amrel. You know, some of these things we could not have imagined when we were your age, which I must say, I do not want to remember how long it's been. I thought we were being very progressive, but progressive is not the word compared to you. It's really hard for me to come back and to talk about Myanmar because, come back to Bangkok. I started with Myanmar. I just want to give you a quick history of why I started to work with Myanmar. Is when I was with the Committee on the Rights of the Child, I was at one point the country rapporteur for Myanmar when it came up for a review of its state party report, and this was under the military government. And I was fascinated at the commonality, the common history thread that we shared, Korea shared with Myanmar. We were not a British colony. However, we suffered under the Japanese rule, and we had several coups. The military was in power for many years, and then so I thought, you know, there's something I can share instead of being somebody like a normal special rapporteur would do, like pointing fingers at you. But I generally thought I could give some advice even to Thein Sein's administration, and there were some really good talks I've had with different ministries when I was the special rapporteur. So I thought there might have been a moment when some of their ministers, the top echelon military generals, some were seen as transformers. And so it kind of, he led the way for another free and fair election, which was by far not free or fair, because a huge number of people could not participate in the elections, namely the Rohingya were disenfranchised from voting nor from running in the elections, while previously they were enticed for their votes to set up a party, and they had a parliamentarian who was Rohingya, from a Rohingya party, but in 2015 all that was canceled. So it was not free or fair, but NLD won with a landslide, and 2010 NLD won with another landslide, and Min Aung Hlaing decided to stage a coup in 2011, February. And a month after the coup, two of my dear old friends, Chris Sidoti and Marzuki Darusman, who had served on the fact-finding mission, we called each other and we said, you know, hey, what are we going to do? We've got to do something. So we started really as a small garage outfit. We had no money at that time, but we managed to get some money, grabbed some people who came to work for us, and had our website up and within a month. So we were up and rolling a month after the coup. And we've seen many changes and the devastation of the people. It's more so than what the people have ever seen, even during the Scorched Earth campaign, the '88 generation, the Saffron Revolution. This is the worst of the worst. During my mandate, I saw the 2016 and 2017 Rohingya genocide, and I saw the NCA process that Thein Sein was pushing for, and I saw the elections of when Aung San Suu Kyi managed to come into power. But here we are 5 years after that, and legally the 5 years term of the parliament will end pretty soon. But the military junta has no legal mandate to hold this election. So we at the Special Advisory Council for Myanmar decided to, if you've been to our website, please do visit our website. You'll see some incredible work that we've done, and some podcasts that we've done too. We decided that we need to do something about the elections. And we didn't call it the sham election. The title was not sham elections or anything. But we wanted to have a positive view, what the people, all the stakeholders of Myanmar wanted to see as the future Myanmar. Okay? And so we titled our paper Myanmar's Way Forward. And it details how the military junta's upcoming so-called sham elections. Somebody the other day said, you can't even call it elections. You don't know what to call it. Is it a drama, a sham, what? Or a scam elections or whatever. So that's very true. An illegitimate, violent, and rigged process that will take Myanmar further into crisis. And I can't understand how the international community can live with that and to see it happening in front of us, to see so much destruction, so much lives being taken during the 5 years and lead up to the coup. And all my panelists have said the violence has increased and will increase during the process of the different phases of the election. The paper charts, in the words of the stakeholders in Myanmar's revolution, that the only legitimate and viable way forward to peace and security is through the realization of the revolution's federal democratic vision. And I mean by stakeholders is we sent out a questionnaire to 45 key stakeholders, and 25 have responded to our questionnaires, and we sent them to the ethnic resistance organizations or the revolutionary movement, state, federal units, and ethnic councils and civil society organizations. We've brought some copies of the report. I think it not far small amount compared to the people who are attending, but this is something for you to visit our website, and you can see it. It has just been translated into Burmese, and the Burmese translation will be uploaded next week when we get back. Now, the junta's elections, as has been said so many times here on the panel, it's the latest and the worst in a decades-long series of rigged votes staged by the military. They will not reopen the limited democratic space of the 2010, as the purpose is to prevent that place from ever opening again. And it's being orchestrated by the military junta that broke Myanmar's constitutional order by launching the attempted coup in 2021, and therefore has no lawful mandate to call for an election. It marks the culmination of a plan junta leader Min Aung Hlaing set in motion with the coup. They do not represent a softening of his position, but rather a doubling down. As such, they foreclose prospects for dialogue. He's holding this election not because he wants to get, I'm sure the legitimacy is what he wants, but he's running out of steam, manpower, he's losing. And we've heard that Min Aung Hlaing whimpers a lot, and I've heard during my tenure that he goes in his room and he cries a lot, and he goes to the soothsayers, but he's so ashamed that he could not squash the resistance within a few months. He thought he could do this, but it's dragged on for 5 years. And the people have gotten stronger in their resistance movement. And the only way he could stop this is to say, oh, let's hold an election, and now I'll become the president, and we'll stop this, okay? It has driven increased violence and displacements, as has been said here. They control less than 40% of the territory, and we've seen strikingly that the elections will not be held in those 40%, and maybe even less, and they will call it a national election that's free and fair and inclusive. And it's really interesting when they call inclusive. Myanmar has so many ethnic communities, different languages, so many different religions, but they call inclusive by having more female candidates as being inclusive. I guess they don't know what the word inclusive means. They failed every test of credibility. Fundamental freedoms have been all but destroyed in areas where voting will be held. Political opposition has been systematically eliminated and excluded since the coup, and there is no transparency or independent oversight. And it's designed solely to manufacture a parliament and government comprised almost entirely of serving members of the military and its proxy political party, handpicked by Min Aung Hlaing. I could even say, why hold this? Why go through all this trouble of purchasing these EVMs from India? Why not just say, okay, we have these members from these townships who will be serving in the parliament, and that's it. Why go through all that trouble of, they will certainly save a lot of lives because they won't have to bombard those places. And speaking of the advanced voting, as some of the panelists said here, in South Korea, we have a sizable population of Burmese, not only students, but people who've been living there for years and doing business there. I think about 80,000 now currently are living in Korea, in South Korea. Not one showed up in the advanced election date that the junta embassy announced. And so they've delayed it and given it more days. And I don't think anyone will show up. He is a single, Min Aung Hlaing is a single individual most responsible for the current suffering as wanted by the prosecutor of the International Criminal Court for war crimes and crimes for humanity. And this rigged election or this scam, whatever, drama, will deliver presidency to him. And I've been told that he says he's really dying to become the president because he thinks that that will save him from joining Duterte in The Hague to keep him company. But that's not true, you know. They can still put him in The Hague, as we have seen in some African countries. Yeah, the heads of states were there. The federal democratic vision is so coherent and shared by a consensus of actors that represent broad and diverse constituencies across Myanmar states and regions. It is not just a theoretical consensus, it's already being constructed from the ground up by an ecosystem of revolutionary stakeholders working through overlapping platforms and processes to realize shared goals. And it is being realized by a growing parallel state structure that is delivering core services and institutionalizing governance from the ground up through participatory community-led models. And it is being advanced by an emerging constitutional process that, as a priority, aims to enshrine civilian supremacy and ensure that the military is fully subordinate to a democratically elected government. And this federal democratic vision is being obstructed by the military's violence and in transitions to the will of the peoples of Myanmar, compounded by the interventions of its international backers. It is further undermined by the grievous lack of support from the rest of the international community, and in particular the ASEAN region here, of which Myanmar so boastfully is part of. Now, I'd like to say that in closing, December 28th, all of the members of our Special Advisory Council for Myanmar have given up our end-of-the-year holiday to be on standby to watch and track the elections. So for any of you foreign correspondents who want a soundbite, who want a very quick interview of what's happening in Myanmar, feel free to contact us at Special Advisory Council for Myanmar. Thank you, and I welcome any questions from the audience. Thank you.